Welcome back, everybody. You are tapped into Jammin with Juice, okay? And we are still in hour one, getting things cracking here. But I want to get into a story that caught my attention, and I feel like it caught Benjamin's attention and just a lot of people's attention recently. I want to say it was yesterday that everything was just popping off, but it's about the Chicago police that are now investigating a brutal attack on a mother and her children near a far south side school in Chicago, of course. It happened Monday afternoon near 106th Street and Bensley Avenue, right down the street from Orville T. Bright Elementary. The video now has been shared tens of thousands of times on Facebook, and it shows the attack of this 33-year-old woman being punched and eventually falling to the ground, where the assault turns even more violent. You guys, we have a clip here that we are about to play of this video showing everything going down.
Yeah, shout out to Fox 32.
Outrage in South Deering after a mother and child attacked on their way home from school. Casey Cronus is live outside of Orville Wright Elementary School with the very latest on this story. Casey, what can you tell us?
Hi, Sylvia. This video is heartbreaking to see. That woman, a 33-year-old, says she was walking her 9-year-old son home from school when they were jumped by a group of kids. And we need to warn you, the video is difficult to watch. We have frozen it before things escalate. Chicago police are now investigating after the woman named Korshonda and her son were viciously attacked near 106th and Bensley. That's just a couple blocks away from the elementary school. It happened yesterday shortly after dismissal. A group of kids approached them and started punching and kicking them. Korshonda says her son has been bullied at Wright and claims the administration has not done enough to protect him. Here's what happened yesterday in her own words.
So I asked my kids to come to the next side of the street with me so they wouldn't get jumped. So we kept walking. They followed us all the way there. And then they still fought us. They fought my son. They hit my son first, all in his face. Then they dragged me in the grass and pulled my little baby hair.
Actors, we can make you believe we know what we're doing, when in fact, we do not. Whoops.
All right, you guys. So that was just part of the mother who was discussing what happened yesterday after school, or Monday afternoon, I should say, after school, when her son, who had been bullied, like she said, for about 2 years now at this point, she's walking him home along with her younger daughter, and then the middle school kids start jumping on him, and actually even hurt the younger daughter as well. And so now everyone is just like, what? Like, this is ridiculous to even see that these middle school children would attack this family like this. And it's like, for what? And that's why they're doing their investigations right now. But the mother and the kid eventually did have to be hospitalized, and they were taken in for serious conditions. At least the 9-year-old boy was. Now they're saying they don't know what led up to the attack. But like we said, the boy had been getting bullied for about 2 years or so now.
Mob mentality.
And people were concerned, like, okay, well, why didn't you fight back? Why didn't you do something? And one, she can't necessarily fight little kids. Yeah, she could try to get them off of her son, but it would look bad on her if she's trying to fight middle schoolers. But the mom actually has sickle cell disease. And so since she has sickle cell disease, she was not able to protect herself in the way that she normally would have been able to if, she wasn't battling this disease on top of everything else. So Tuesday, yesterday, video went up as well of the community and their outrage, because now they were outside of the school and they were demanding answers. Who are these parents? Who are the children? How are we going to handle this? Because this was absolutely something that did not need to take place. And so now we are asking you guys, one, how do you feel about the entire situation? Like, what are your initial thoughts? And then two, how and who gets held accountable for this type of situation? Because this could have easily happened in Milwaukee. This could have easily happened anywhere, honestly, across the country, because of the type of children who we are dealing with now, who don't have any respect for older people, or just don't even have respect for themselves at the end of the day. That's really what it comes down to. But What do you guys think? I'm going to give you guys the number at 414-360-8999. This story is completely insane, but we have more updates on that when we come back from our juice break. But what do you think, Ben?
Well, you know what? Before I do my deep dive into all of this, I just want to say shout out to Fox 32 News. But at the same time, I think you guys were a bit insensitive while interviewing that lady. She definitely sounded concussed as she was speaking. So, you know, sometimes media wants to hop on the story as soon as they possibly can because, you know, they feel some type of way. They want to act and do whatever they possibly can to get the story. But give that lady some time to, you know, to heal, her and her son, because to be jumped on by a bunch of rabid teens is crazy. I've seen this thing happen firsthand, but we'll talk about that when we return.
Yeah, so make sure you guys keep it locked. We got hour 2 of Jammin with Juice coming up. One more time for the number, 414-360-8999. Call in and let us know what you guys are thinking and what are some solutions to this issue. Welcome back, everyone. You are tapped into hour 2 of Jammin with Juice. All right, I'm going to give you guys the phone number to start things off, 414-360-8999. You guys, make sure you like, comment, share, subscribe to this broadcast, this live cast here right now that we are doing.
The morning stream.
Yes, as we continue the conversation about this Chicago mother, 33 years old, who had to be hospitalized along with her son after some middle school kids jumped all 3 of them, I would say, because there was a little baby girl as well in the picture there that she said they pulled her hair out. But they were jumped, and now everybody is trying to understand why and what happens after this, because the community in the city over there in Chicago, they showed up yesterday outside of the school and were trying to figure out, okay, who are these kids? Who are the parents of these kids? And what can we do for this mother? Now, I don't want to say that the mom was pregnant, but in the video that I saw, it did look like she had like a rounded stomach. So if she is pregnant, that makes this even worse. I mean, it was already bad, but it makes it even worse that y'all would throw to the ground a diseased woman with sickle cell and pregnant, and you're gonna beat up her son and her daughter. Ridiculous. But I did see a post on Facebook, not sure if this is factual or not. I couldn't find it in an actual news story, but someone did make a post and gave an update on the mother and said they moved her into a house out of Chicago. They changed her school. They brought her a car, paid for her family to go to LA for the weekend and a dinner for Christmas and all this other stuff. I don't know if that's actually true, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was true, because it seemed like the community definitely was there to try to protect this woman and just get some answers overall. But now I'm trying to understand, who are some of these children? I did see a video just early this morning of one of the mothers of the sons who was in that video, because she was like, listen, the entire city of Chicago is looking for you. The entire city of Chicago wants to know who you are and where you are. She said, and you know I'm not going to protect you if they try to do something to you, because you were wrong for what you did to that woman and her child in that video. And so there was reports that said when the police had came to the school yesterday to try to demand some answers, some of those children who were in that video were crying and they were scared because they didn't know what was going to happen. You know, almost like they didn't think of the consequences that could potentially come from them jumping on an entire family. But my thing is, why y'all crying now? Because y'all wasn't crying when you were bullying this little boy for 2 years. Y'all weren't crying when you were beating this woman upside her head. And y'all weren't crying when you were pulling out the little girl's hair. And so why are y'all crying now? Just because now you might have some sort of punishment, right, or now there are going to be some sort of consequences to your actions. But if this was your child who was in this video and y'all were whooping on this woman and you saw your child whooping on this woman, what do? Like, how do you reprimand and discipline like 11 to 14-year-olds? Like, right, what does that look like? Does it look like jail? Does it look like juvie? You know, is it the parents getting ticketed? I honestly think that it's a little bit deeper. I'm not gonna lie to you. It has a lot to do with just the mental health crisis of our kids right now, and why they have so much anger built up inside of them that they feel like they can take it out on other kids or even parents. Parents who they're supposed to respect. Like when I was growing up, y'all, I was taught to not disrespect elders. Like it don't matter if you know them or you don't know them. You need to respect them. But it seems like that is completely out the window. And I'm not sure where that came from and why the parents now are not instilling that into their children.
Yeah.
But it's ridiculous to me. 414-360-8999. What do y'all think about this situation? Who needs to be held accountable for this? Is this the system? Is this the parents? The kids? What's really going on? This could have easily been Milwaukee.
Yeah, this could have easily been Milwaukee. And honestly, Juice, I'm certain that at one point this has been Milwaukee. I'm certain that this has been neighborhoods across the country. The only difference that this particular instance makes is the fact that it was filmed in Chicago. You know, so ultimately people were able to share the incident and, you know, everybody was able to feel some type of way when they actually saw it. But, you know, this is a buildup of us disowning our community. And really when I'm saying disowning our community, not really being there for the children in the first place anyway. We had this conversation at some point last week when we were talking about, you know, the parents wanting to be friends with their children. You know, this comes from that. This stems from that. You know, this also stems from the crack era. What did we say? A lot of these kids now are, you know, a ripple effect, a ripple cause of what the crack era did to them. You know, so ultimately, I think it's a many factors. But with this particular instance here, it's because those kids didn't give a damn. All right, they didn't care about that kid. They were bullying him for a solid 2 years. And his mother, shout out to his mother again for her being like, nobody's going to do this to my son anymore. I may have sickle cell, but I'm going to go there and I'm going to try to walk my kid home from school so he can get home from school safely. You know,
and still didn't.
And still didn't because those kids didn't give a damn. And I've seen this time and time again when this mob mentality, when this mob type of mentality starts to permeate through children, you know, because it starts with one kid who may have just been the first bully, right? And he starts bullying the kid. Well, another kid out there who may feel as if, oh man, you know what? Forget little. I don't even know what his name is because they're not gonna drop it or whatever. But forget little Tyrone or whatever his name may be, and they hop on it too. Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 children begin to do the same thing, and this kid is like, man, I'm scared to go to school. He's still trying to get an education. He's been doing it for 2 years. He finally tells his mom. His mom has probably been concerned for him for amount of time now. Seeing the different bruises that's been on her child, and the child finally tells her, and she does what a mom or any parent would do and tries to protect her child. But in this instance, you know, she walks him home from school and still gets jumped herself. So it's one of these things where, you know, we really have to take a look in the mirror at ourselves and how we allow these things to happen. And I believe it's because the communities around these types of children have failed them. A lot of people are alluding to the idea that, well, there's no after school programs and they don't have this and the children don't have that. But really, at the end of the day, what the children don't have is respect for their elders. They don't have respect for themselves. You know, they don't even understand the reasons why they're supposed to be going to school in the first place, because the first reason you're supposed to go to school is to get an education. It's not to jump and beat up on anybody. However, this is what has happened. And I've seen it before in my own lifetime. Like I said before, in my instances, it just wasn't filmed. I remember seeing a young child, and this was actually, and I've always just kind of sat back and just watched, I guess, and that was wrong of me. But I was about like 9, 10 years old. And I'll never forget the first time like a white kid moved into our neighborhood. He moved into our neighborhood and immediately, I call him a bully now or whatever, but the gentleman's name was Chris. He immediately started bullying this kid just because off GP, because he was white. That was really one of the biggest reasons he started doing it anyway.
That sucks.
It really does. So, you know, I saw this from a first person standpoint, but you know, he ends up bullying the white kid or whatever. And at first it just started off as, oh, I'm talking crap to the white kid. Second day, we at the bus stop. Now I'm pushing the white kid, and not only am I pushing the white kid, I got cousins over here too. Now my cousins got involved, and they also helping me bully this little kid, you know. And then third, it was like the 2 weeks go by or whatever. And what ends up happening now is it wasn't just Chris; it was Chris's cousin, it was Chris's cousin's friends. So now this is about 10 other little black kids bullying this one little white kid, all because of the fact that Chris didn't like the fact that this kid was white in the hood. And I will never forget Chris, it was either Chris or Craig, grabbed a brick and threw a brick at this kid's head. Like, threw a full brick at this kid's head, man. And I was like, what in the hell is going on? And the kid started bleeding. The ambulance had to come and pick the kid up, all these things, right? About a month passed. Chris, the child was was a lot better now. He had healed up and stuff. Got to the bus stop, and then the kid's father came out. The kid's father came out. I'm 10 years old. We're all about 10 years old, but the kid's father had been about like 31. Again, the kid's father was a white guy or whatever, and asked his son, who was bullying you for these past few weeks. He pointed him out. Immediately, as soon as the father got to speaking to Chris, he tried to talk to him respectfully in a respectful manner, as if he was almost his own son, just trying to correct his pathway. Immediately, Chris, boom, catch him right in the face. Like, I don't give a damn what you got to say to me right now. And then they all start jumping on not only just the kid, but the white man himself. And I just was like, dang. What happened, fortunately, in that instance, is the school bus had actually pulled up, and the school bus driver got to honking the horn and then hopped off, and then that's when the kids scrambled. So a lot of those kids that they didn't go to school, that skipped school that day, because ultimately they didn't want to be found guilty and have to face the repercussions of their actions from jumping on not just that kid, but his father. And I just was like, man, like this is messed up. People need to have a bigger heart. But call in Juicy Jammers at 414-360-8999, because it's traumatizing, man. Like, a lot of people would assume that, it only impacted the mother, it only impacted the child, but no, it truly impacts the community, because at the end of the day, we just all want to feel safe where we're at. We all want to feel safe where...
Does it impact the community?
Like, 100%
which part impacts the community?
Emotionally, even me. I'm a 33-year-old man talking about something that happened to me almost 23 years ago.
No, I get that, but I guess what I'm saying is so many situations happen here in Milwaukee, even, for example, where we see a bunch of teenagers killing each other. Mm-hmm. But, like, what do we do? Like, it just continues to happen. So does it really impact it? Does it really impact change, I guess is what I'm saying? Does it impact a way for it to not happen again? Or or do we become normalized to the idea that, the same rhetoric of this is unacceptable, we have to change this, we have to do better as a community? Like, I don't think it really does
I see what you're
create
saying,
any
Juice.
Type of great impact.
I see what you're saying, Juice. So on one end, if we do nothing, then we normalize the behavior. We desensitize ourselves to that type of behavior, and we just accept it as if this is supposed to be life, and this is supposed to be normal. It's supposed to be just reality. On the other end of it, Juice, if we as a community get together and we stay consistent in our pursuit to have that safety in our community, then that's when that real change comes. That's when you actually see things start to happen. Again, shout out to my boy Tory. That's why he started to do the things that he did. He began as just one person doing it, but he decided to be the consistency in his life, which then ultimately impacted the community, and he grew community around his whole plight, what he was trying to do. So I'm saying, even in this idea, or in this idea of a community of Chicago, right? If they can stay consistent in the pursuit of them trying to be safe, then something will happen. But if everybody sits back and be like, oh, this is all normal, then we will all forever have to live with a scar on our hearts and minds.
But see, that's what I'm saying, though. Yeah, obviously, if you're consistent, things will change. But the part that never happens is the consistency.
No,
and
consistency
honestly,
does happen.
The reason... How so? If we keep having the same issues?
I'm not saying with every instance, but consistency does happen, and it may be on a very small scale. Because at first, just like I just said with the Fox News stuff, right? Fox News, we're all up in uproar, because that's what happens. You see a whole bunch of people, oh man, this is what's happening over here. We need to do this, we need to do that. But the real people who actually do feel like, man, change needs to be happening, it may just be one person, it may be just two people, it may just be a student inside of that kid's classroom that's like, you know what, I'm not letting y'all pick on little Billy anymore. I'm not letting you do it anymore. All it takes is just one, and then you never know how that grows out and spirals out into somebody becoming the president of the United States, who makes certain that never happens to children again.
That sounds great. That sounds beautiful, and that sounds like what would happen in a perfect world, but that's not reality, and that's not what happens.
That's what I'm saying.
And that's
so
not
you're for the normalcy of these things.
I'm not for the normalcy
of these things. What do you want to do with your voice, Juice? What do you want to do with your platform, Juice? How are you going to stop these things happening in your own community, in your own backyard, if you do not stay consistent on speaking on those things? We have the Juicy Jammers right here, right now.
Yes, we can stay consistent on doing our part in bringing awareness to the situation. But I'm not going to lie to you. If this video did not go viral, I don't think would change have really came, and will change even come after this? Like, are they going to eventually put in some type of mental health counseling in the schools for children? Are they actually going to hold the, but I'm saying, like, across the country, This is not just a Chicago issue. This is a Milwaukee issue. And so what I'm saying is we see these kids here getting killed all the time, and we don't create an uproar about it until it goes viral and until it becomes like a national thing or something where everybody locally understands what's going on. But it just constantly keeps happening because we're not creating any type of change to make it happen. It shouldn't only be an uproar when we all see it happening collectively in a viral video. I guess that's what I'm saying.
I know what you're saying, Juice.
It takes more than just this one thing that you're talking about, because we might have our activists out there who are doing their part, but if they don't have the entire city behind them the entire time, every step of the way, where are we going to get with that? Because I do think one person can change the world, like one man can change the world.
Shout out to Big Sean.
However, it's in order to get further faster, you definitely need everybody involved. So it would be nice to see the community come out every time something is going on when it comes to a shooting, or like what happened with that young man outside of the Asada High School. I didn't see no big uproar of the community going out there to the school and trying to find answers and trying to figure out what was going on. We just read the news story. We talked about it here. You hear about it on the news. You have the police chief saying it's unacceptable, and then you just keep it pushing.
So some people have accepted this as just normal, as if this is reality. And some people are like, you know what, I'm finna press against it.
What'd you say? Say it one more time.
Some people have accepted these types of scenarios as this is just reality, and this is how we're going to continue to move. Other people are like, you know what? I want to change things and to find a way to do so.
I think that the issue is we don't know what the solution is. I think we talk about what we might think the solution is, but we never implement it. So if we talked about this before, like months ago, earlier this year, I believe, where they were saying that they wanted to have like mental evaluations on kids, and you were not for it at all. for like, you were like, no, I don't want no mental evaluations from the kids because that's a gateway for them to say that they slow and all these other things.
I said there need to be it need to be stricter standards upon it, because black kids especially,
they hadn't made the standards yet.
So in some
it was just
schools
proposed.
It has been implemented, but now there have been kids, especially black kids, who have been railroaded into the school to prison pipeline just based off of that.
That's perfectly fine, but what I'm saying is I think that we are in a mental health crisis with these children. And not only that, we are in an era where the parents don't necessarily want to know how to discipline them, and I feel like don't really care about what their children are doing out here. Even for that woman in the video to be talking to her son like, oh yeah, Chicago looking for you and I'm not gonna help you. I get that, but what did you tell him off camera? Like, how did you reprimand him, and how did you discipline him, and how did you lay down the law on him to know that that was unacceptable behavior and you cannot do that again? Where was that at? What was that conversation looking like? Because I know for a fact some of these parents are sticking up for their children, or even denying the fact that they were involved in the first place just because they don't want to be looked at as a bad parent. That's what happens all the time. But it truly does take a village. And I will say that seeing all of the residents in Chicago really step up to the plate and go up to that school like that is what needs to happen more often, because that is what it looks like when you finally get sick and tired of being sick and tired. I honestly feel like that's where the change comes from. So if, as a community, everyone gathers every single time and forces for either the school system to change, because there was no reason why this child was getting bullied for 2 years and the school never stepped in to be like, hey, let me have some sort of intervention between the child and the children who are bullying him. Let me bring the parents in and do some type of mediation so this doesn't happen anymore. Let me figure out how we can get like therapists inside of the schools and see what is going on in the minds of these kids, because at the end of the day, the kids that are doing this, yes, they are just kids, but something is going on inside of them where they feel like they have to express themselves in that way, to either bully another child or even beat up on a parent, so it's just deeper issues than just the small things of wishing the reality was, oh, this is going to create change, this is going to create impact. Like, what are the actionable steps? And I feel like even to this day, we have not seen any actionable steps for the issues that we're having to be resolved. Just a whole lot of talk, you know. And it's awesome that we're talking about it now, because you have to bring awareness to the issue, and that's where the conversations start happening, where we can maybe come together and figure out what it is that we need to do to prevent it from happening. But I just don't think that, or I should say, I think the village part and having the community in an uproar every single time, and not just for the viral ones, that's where it's really going to come into play.
Yeah, I think you're spitting right now, Juice, you know, and I've said this before, but, you know, when, like, kids raise themselves, parents don't correct them, you know, they don't have any kind of guidance, it just leads to chaos. That's just what we saw, you know, and maybe this is already, you know, predicted in the Bible, you know, maybe it was already predicted in the Bible, man, you know. I will read this out of like a little scripture, but it did say, in the last days, perilous times shall come. People will be lovers of themselves, proud, arrogant, abusive, disobedient to parents, ungrateful, unholy, without self-control, brutal, lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of God. And, you know, maybe that's
what does that mean to you?
What do you mean? What does that mean to me?
Like, how do you interpret that?
That's where we kind of at right now, you know, and I'm talking about from a societal standpoint, you know, where we're seeing these kids just be super disobedient. As you said, Juice, I grew up the same way, where I'm supposed to respect my elders. I'm supposed to respect my teachers. I'm supposed to respect them, right? But, you know, these children growing up in this internet age, this technological age, it seems to me that, you know, the things that they see on the TV screen they believe are real, so they go out and act those things out, you know, or they're also coming from broken homes that don't have both a mom and a father, or even just a parent in there who really does care and tries to raise them upright the best way they possibly can, or even just a person who's a parental guide, you know, I forget exactly the term for it or whatever, but, you know, when basically the community doesn't care that much about them anymore, children tend to, or as we're seeing right now, lash out, you know. And this isn't just Chicago, this is global at this point, all of America.
And what I feel like actually needs to happen now at this point, maybe they is like, fell in love with
throwing their pain out.
We have seen the video. We saw the community that has come together in an uproar because they were upset about it. But we can't just leave it there. Like, what accountability really is making sure that after the situation is done and over with, that change actually happens and change actually comes. So it's important that when we see situations like this, not just in Chicago, because it's bigger than just Chicago, even just for example here in Milwaukee, but hold the people accountable who need to be accountable. Follow up with the situation maybe a week or two later. Hey, did anybody ever get involved to mediate between these kids and, you know, the parents? Right. How were the parents held accountable? How were the students held accountable? You know, did they get detention? Did they get suspended? I don't know. Like, did they enroll them in some type of therapy for the child so they can figure out what is deep inside of them to even want to lash out like that? Like, the steps after the situation happens and after things kind of die down and they settle and we move on to the next tragic story, there needs to be follow-ups and there needs to be updates to make sure that the things that we were asking for actually happened, so that it doesn't happen again, or what is going to be implemented so it doesn't happen again.
You know, I honestly, Juice, I want to ask you this question though, because I'm thinking about in my mind, you know, what I would do as a teacher or principal of that school. When it comes down to that group of kids, what would you do if you were the teacher down there, who maybe these students who jumped on the mom, and bullied the kid for the past 2 years? What would you do if you guys were all in the same classroom? How would you go about, you know, building a connection back there, or
well, since I'm not like a teacher who probably has the certifications to figure out that type of thing, and just the first thing I think of is bringing the parents together. Okay. And I know parents don't want to think that they're doing a bad job as a parent because they get really offended now. It's like the whole village idea just doesn't register to them somehow. It's like, when we're correcting you, it's not that you suck that much. I mean, you might suck, but we're trying to correct it so you don't suck anymore, and you can have a child that's in the world and doing great things in the world. But I 100% would just bring in the people who need to be brought in order to see what's going on with each child. Like, hey, child, why are you bullying this kid? What are the things that you're saying to him that's making him cry or making him, you know, feel bad? And what's going on in your household? Do you feel like you're loved enough? Do you feel like you're getting enough attention?
I feel like,
like, you have to talk to the kids. You can't just brush it off and be like, hey, stop doing that. Because yeah, that's probably as far as it went, was, hey, don't say that no more, or go about your business. You know what I mean? But really get into the root cause of what the problem is. But then if the parents are not trying to be cooperative in that space, now the attention needs to be put onto the parents. Okay, what's going on with you where you don't feel the need to address what's going on with your kid, or you don't feel the need to want to come to the parent teacher conferences to know what is going on with your child on a day-to-day basis. Like, what's going on there? Yeah. Like, you have to kind of break it down, or at least that's how I would break it down if I was like a therapist or a psychologist or even just an administrator of that school.
I feel like
that's what I would think.
No, I think that's a good way to go about it. You know, honestly, we may not even be at this point if that mom would have just swung on them kids.
I don't think she should have swung.
Look, hey, I have a child.
She gonna be in trouble. Now she gonna be in trouble.
Hell no. You know, me and my seed is good. Okay, y'all not finna be out here embarrassing my son for 2 years. Okay, 2 years, and then think you finna do the same thing. Okay. When I'm here, I would have swung on them kids. I ain't gonna lie.
Okay, you would have swung on the kids, but think about it like this. And maybe you're not the greatest person to ask this, because I feel like you have like a good mental compass on yourself. But if your child was the one beating up the mom, right? Damn. And the mom decided to like knock your kid out, and now your kid got a bunch of bruises. As a parent, are you going to be upset at the mother?
Not at all.
Because we live in a society now.
Hold on. I just want to put this out there, because this is the conversation that should be had with those children who were beaten up and bullied. No, son, you deserved it. In fact, we finna go over to Miss Rogers' house, whomever it may be, or whatever. You finna apologize to her, and then I'm finna apologize for allowing it to happen. Right. Okay, because I'm not doing something right as a parent, period. Like, I have messed up somewhere for my child to feel like I can go to school and bully this child. You know, then as soon as I see the parent, I'm not respecting the parent. Hell no. You deserve to get your ass whooped by that. But see, that's why I say I think you have a moral compass in you where you feel that way. But you have to admit that a lot of parents don't think like that. And a lot of parents are going to be like, you put your hands on my kid? Right. Don't you ever put your hands on my kid?
Like, now the mama want to fight the other mama again, because it's like, don't touch my child. I don't care what my child is doing to you. They're just 11 years old. Right. You don't put your hands on no kid. Yeah. You can't defend yourself against an 11-year-old. Like, that's what the conversation would have been. And then the mama who was fighting could have gotten in trouble just for that. You know, so you have to think about what that mom was even going through, and the fact that she had a disease on top of that.
Thanks, I got
crazy,
sickle cell.
Bro. Crazy.
I would have caught them kids. I ain't gonna lie. Don't play with Ben Jammin.
But this is not just that school's issue. This is a community issue. This is a nationwide issue that is going on with our youth today. And the longer we take to get to the root cause of these issues and truly put in some type of programming to fix what's going on in the hearts of our children, in the hearts and the minds of our kids, and the hearts and the minds of the parents, because the parents are a lot younger now too. It's like, it's just gonna keep happening over and over and over and over again.
I mean, you know, again, maybe I would hate to be pessimistic about it, but maybe there's nothing we really can do.
I don't think that. I just think that what happened yesterday was a good example of everybody coming together.
Measures.
Not even just that. Well, yes, but when you see a community rally behind a family like that, that is what it looks like when you are sick and tired of being sick and tired. And I truly think change comes in numbers. So if everybody were to be in an uproar about every situation that happens, and we hold the people accountable to make sure that things are fixed afterwards, that's where I think changes could start to come, and we do see the impacts of what the situation is.
So consistent in the outrage of instances like this will evoke change.
I think so.
I agree.
Cool. Well, good conversation.
I said that 20 minutes ago, by the way.
Bro, you haven't said in the outrage.
I said that 20 minutes ago. She did not accept it, Juicy Jammers.
You did not say in the outrage.
If Ben Jammin was right, is that how y'all just got to talk to women? You just got to be like, okay, outrage. Now you get it. But I said this 20 minutes ago, and she was not on my side at all.
I feel like it was different, y'all.
It was not. She was not on my side.
I feel like he was saying something completely different.
But it's okay. It's all right. I got love for you. Don't need you.
Now you got me. I'm gonna go back and listen just so I could text you later and be like, "No, you was wrong."
Yeah, go back and listen. Go back and listen, because I said the same thing. But it's okay. Sometimes you need your own voice.
But what I'm saying is there isn't no consistency in the outrage.
And I would agree with that. But that's why I said.
But you said it just takes one person. That's why I'm like, no, I don't think it can take one specific person. It has to be a collective of people.
It could be one person, but as long as you're consistent
can't just be when it's viral.
As long as you are consistent in that pursuit of safety, then everything can one day change. But if you guys sit back and see this as just being a normal idea and keep going along with it's only going to get worse. So if you want to be consistent in your pursuit for safety,
will they?
That is the big question. That is the question.
Well, maybe that's what we should have asked.
You got to be consistent.
Will you be consistent?
No, you got to be consistent.
Because we will consistently spread the word. Spread the word of the Lord. Okay, it's time for the rabbit hole.
Yeah, God is good. Yeah.
All the time.
And God is good.
And all the what? Do you know how to say the saying?
God is good.
God is good.
And all the time.
God is good. Okay. Let me make a show.
Why? She always look.
You said it wrong at first.
I really did.
I know I'm not tripping, bro. You was looking confused.
You hear what you want to hear.
I had to check your black card.
What's up with your headbuds, your earphones, your earbuds, bro?
What's wrong with it?
They got earwax in them or something, bro?
No,
you not hearing me over
what's
here?
wrong with them?
You don't be hearing me, bro. I be saying these same things.
Oh my gosh.
Well, I think it's time for
the rabbit.
It's all good. It's all good. So, with that being said, Juicy Jammers, if you don't know what a rabbit hole is, hold on. Okay, if you don't know what a rabbit hole is, it is a piece of information you find on the internet or experienced in real life that takes you from one piece of information you find to another, up until your curiosity is satisfied. And today, Juicy Jammers, we could talk about how allegedly there's a rumor going on right now, and I'm still looking for like the actual message from Timbaland, but apparently the next official versus battle could be Jay-Z versus Lil Wayne. And if so, I'm all here for it. The verses of two GOATs, Jay-Z and Lil Wayne, who would actually win in the verses between Jay-Z and Lil Wayne? If we're going in the heyday, personally me, I'm still finna go for Jay-Z. Okay, I'm a Hove fan, but I also love Lil Wayne. I'm a Martian as well. So I just got to see who exactly.
I forgot that's what he used to call people.
I'm a Martian. I'm a Martian. We are not the same. I'm a Martian. Yeah. So we could talk about that. All right. But no, today, Juicy Jammers, we're going to talk about a question I have. And we actually alluded to it earlier today. Right? We alluded to it earlier today. The question that I have is, do we truly need another B2K tour? All right, if you don't know, B2K is coming back with another tour, and Bow Wow's a part of it. Mm-hmm. And they may be working towards an album, all right, towards an album. However, I'm not sure if these dudes are truly living their truths and supporting their brother Raz B through it all. So with that being said, Juicy Jammers, stand back and stand by for the next 3 minutes to take a juice break, because when we come back, we finna take our trip down the rabbit hole. Do we need to hear from B2K? Our boy band's back. Are they living their truths, or are they telling us more lies? I don't even know. Bump, bump, bump.